Hi, I'm Lisa, and
I'm Tony.
we're Bear and Sparrow. I was studying to be a career counsellor, and then just happened to do art and was working in a little handmade shop. And then Tony was supplying to the handmade shop, and he was making, toy trucks or lots of different things. And he came in, and we just had a great rapport with each other. And then one day I just said, "Oh, could you make this and this?" And he's like, "Yeah." And the next week he'd come in and it'd be made, and then they were popular. And I was like, wow, maybe if I've got ideas that work, and then there's someone that can make them, then I could start my own thing up. And Tony said, yep, he'd love to come on board, and it kind of just, it was just one of those things, right time, right place. We just clicked. There's heaps of really gorgeous little toy cameras that kids can muck around, made out of wood, and absolutely love them. But I don't know what it is as well, but I just love things like oversized. And I was like, well, I don't want to do that because there's already like plenty of people doing these tiny little toy cameras, but how can we take it and make it different? And so, just that's how the camera and the radio was just retro so in. I guess the more you're surrounded by creativity and then you start to practice it, then the imagination just sort of comes alive.
We've got patterns for all the stuff we've got. Then it gets cut out, then it gets sanded, and then you start adding the bits and pieces to it. So, if you did a dozen at once, it shortens the time down, but we tend to do one at a time because they're special. And it could take you anywhere between an hour and a half, couple of hours, depending. Sometimes it might even take longer because with timber and paint, just putting a clear finish on timber, you might have to put 6 or 7 coats on until you get what you think's right. So, and it's the same when you're painting. You want to make sure you've got a good finish on the paint, and sometimes you might get that out of 3 coats. Other times, I know I've put as many as 8 coats on some. So yeah, it really does vary. Well, Lisa's now got an appreciation for wood, and so we're now using timber rather than sort of MDF for a lot of the faces of the things we do.
I think wasn't it a dachshund that you make? Because we make it like a dachshund crayon holder, and we'd be making it out of pine and like painting it. And then one day Tony had just made it out of, it was that, and we made it out of the New Guinea. And I was like, wow, that's because when wood's raw, it's kind of like,
It's dull.
like Tony gets it. He knows exactly what it's going to look like, but I'm like, and so like he just goes ahead and makes it, and I'm like, wow, it's like Christmas.
So we're using silky oak and timber like that. And the really popular one is the cypress pine at the moment. And Lisa's developed a real appreciation for these grain, beautiful pieces that we're making. And it's going to be your signature brand, isn't it?
Yeah, the heirloom range, yeah. When you start working with wood, I don't know, like you just kind of fall in love with it, what it can do, what it can become, and then, like Tony said, the different grains. And we went out to a timber supplier, and just him opening up the shipping container and just the smell of the camphor laurel. It's I've just fallen in love with the woods, and and when it's finished well, I guess, then what's not to love?
You can't beat wood.
No. I've always been a big dreamer, and there's things I'd love to say that, one day we have our own warehouse, and that, Tony's looking after production, and we have a team of, people making our products, and that we're global and we're distributed everywhere around the world. However, sometimes I think it's important to have that dream, and I definitely have that dream. I want to become a household name, and long after I'm gone, I want to have this as my legacy, and for people to kind of turn it over and go, oh, this is a Bear and Sparrow original. But for now, because I get too carried away with that sometimes, is to just make beautiful pieces right now. So it had the big dreams, but focus now on just each and every customer that comes through and making sure that they fall in love with the products. Otherwise, I guess we won't have that big dream. I would love for Bear and Sparrow to be like a huge business that's global, and who knows, maybe one day we're not so, we may engage like, CNC routers and lasers. Who knows? At the moment, a lot of it's just done by hand. So we may go down that path, but Tony's been here from the beginning, and no matter where we go, as long as Tony's okay.
I'll be around.
Yeah.
She could never get another Tony.
No, you know what? I could never get another Tony. No, he's probably like, thank goodness I could never get another Lisa.